Over the last few years, Korean culture and content have become a global phenomenon. Korean dramas have become a worldwide sensation as K-pop groups such as BTS and Blackpink have dominated the music charts. In 90 countries, Squid Game became the most popular Korean drama on Netflix. But did Squid Game portray the social and economic difficulties in South Korea accurately? Today, we'll be taking a closer look at how the show impacted South Korea and its locals, so stay tuned for some interesting comments about the show from locals. Origins of controversy and popularity. The show had some of South Korea's biggest stars in Squid Game, including Lee Jong-jae as Seong Ji-hoon, a hopelessly indebted father who receives a business card from a stranger offering him a way out. He accepts to compete for a reward of 45.6 billion won, about $38 million, in a series of traditional Korean children's games alongside 455 other participants from different sorts of backgrounds, all of whom are heavily in debt, only to learn later that elimination from each round means death. South Korean viewers thought that the show is particularly frightening because it incorporates death and brutality into popular playground games such as Red Light, Green Light, and Tug of War. Squid Game, at its roots, is a Korean show containing games people would remember playing as kids, according to Dong Kang, Netflix's vice president of Korean content. The plot of Squid Game appealed to a larger audience. Its success in the West was unforeseen. Korean culture exports, on the other hand, have been sweeping Asia for years, and Netflix was betting on their expanding popularity. By the end of this year, the streaming platform will have spent $500 million on Korean content alone, which is almost as much as it did in the previous 5 years. Squid Game, according to one person, included cultural features unique to Korea that are unfamiliar but enticing to other countries. Hwang Dong-kyok, the director, stated that he wanted the K-drama to be as Korean as possible. The drama's childhood games are similar to those that many Koreans played as youngsters. Another local took Squid Game's popularity in somewhat of a different direction, thinking of Squid Game being highly influenced by the Western media because the drama included gore and cruelty rarely seen in Korean dramas but more in Hollywood horror films. The savagery of the show, according to the resident, makes it more intriguing to foreigners than the locals. Some felt that the series depicted their country's problems rather accurately. Most common sentiment is whether or not the cultural difficulties depicted in Squid Game are realistic. Squid Game brought up societal and economic challenges within South Korea. The moment where the gamers wait on the streets to re-enter the game, according to one citizen, is the most relatable. It revealed the dark side of Korean society where instead of facing their reality, the characters would rather play a game. Another local explains that many of the fraud and investment concerns that the protagonists in the K-drama faced were real-world ones, as many of the local friends had invested in stocks in the hopes of reaping life-changing profits, but unfortunately, people are more often than not victims of deception. He goes on to say that Squid Game had a lot of parallels. It all starts when you're approached by someone who claims you can generate quick money and you can jump to the gun because of how financially stable you are, the harsh reality of the world that we live in, and it's not just true to South Korea, but the world in general. Maybe that's part of the reason why Squid Game gained so much popularity. Stay tuned because we're going to be taking a look at cold, hard facts that break up the plot behind Squid Game's idea of the South Korean economy. How accurate, though? Household debt in South Korea has increased dramatically in recent years as a result of low interest rates and is currently equal to the country's yearly GDP. In contrast, household debt in the United States is around 80% of GDP. People may accumulate debt as a result of credit card use, unemployment, or gambling losses, but real estate is responsible for a significant portion of it. Housing costs have risen rapidly in recent years, particularly under President Moon Jae-in, in the average price of a sole apartment approaching $1 million. Household borrowing has remained unabated despite lending restrictions and measures to temper the property market. Aside from housing, some Koreans, particularly the young, borrow money to invest in cryptocurrencies. In South Korea, bankruptcy is viewed as a dreadful fate rather than a chance to start over. This is emphasized in Squid Game when contestants are offered the choice to quit but prefer to stay and play even if it means risking their lives. Does the K-drama paint a negative picture of South Korea? Because the show was straightforward and original, it had me hooked and entranced. Despite my youth, I am fully aware of the harsh realities of a highly competitive society, said Park Se-ha, a Yonsei University senior studying economics. That strenuous competition could be one of the reasons why South Korea has been so successful, with a period of rapid industrialization beginning in the 1960s that propelled it to the world's 10th largest economy. However, as in many other nations, a university diploma and a white-collar job can no longer provide the financial security they once did. With an average annual income of around $42,000, many Koreans are now forced to borrow to keep up. Squid Game, according to one resident, depicts parts of Korea correctly and critically, but also to the extreme at times. The country is not as gloomy as the K-drama depicts it to be, and it's best to enjoy Squid Game instead of taking it seriously. There are a lot of Korean dramas and films coming out these days, so even if you find some of them offensive or distressing, try to understand them as a sort of artistic expression regarding certain aspects of Korean society, similar to what Hollywood does. Did the show have any effect on the South Korean society? The drama premiered on September 17th, just in time for Chuseok, a Korean festival comparable to Thanksgiving when families congregate, making it the ideal time to binge watch. As a result of the increased network traffic, one internet service provider filed a lawsuit against Netflix to recover its losses. The fever had indeed spread to the actual world. According to Reuters, a street seller in Seoul who supplied the producers of Squid Game with dalgona, a brittle sugar confection featured in one of the games, was suddenly selling like crazy. Top of that, thousands of interested South Koreans dialed the 8-digit phone number on the business card, which the show's creators had no idea would connect them to a live person. The owner of the number, as well as those with similar numbers, have reportedly received numerous calls and messages. That's gotta be really annoying, right? What differentiates Squid Game from its competition? For years, K-dramas have enjoyed a large following. K-dramas have broken out from cable television to become hits on streaming platforms like Viki, iQuery, and now Netflix, thanks to the globalization of Korean entertainment and culture. Aside from Squid Game, diehard K-drama fans will agree that there are many other award-worthy K-dramas. So what was it about this particular Netflix original drama that made it so popular among casual viewers? According to Vogue, audiences were intrigued by the show's gore and cruelty, which set it apart from other shows. Fans liked filmmaker Hwang Dok-yeok's idea of childhood pastimes being transformed into a terrifying war royale. Aside from the million-dollar idea, Hwang's history on how he wrote the script and how his idea was rejected by studios for 10 years is also very enticing. The K-drama also had a universal storyline, according to Vogue, specifically its implicit critique of capitalism and exploration of class society. Unlike other survival series, the players willingly engage despite knowing that they might die. Storyline like Squid Game is more acceptable to a global audience where things have changed in the present world compared to a decade before. All these factors made this story very realistic for individuals. Is the show Emmy-worthy despite being a K-drama? Yes. Squid Game fits all the criteria for an Emmy nomination in 2022. According to IndieWire, a foreign drama or series is frequently left off the Emmy nominations list. The reason for this is that they do not meet the sole eligibility requirement for foreign content. Foreign television production is ineligible for Emmys unless it's a result of a co-production both financially and creatively between US and foreign partners, which occurs prior to the commencement of the production and with the aim to air on US television. Because Korean broadcast television firms make K-dramas, many of them become ineligible. A Netflix K-drama can be watched on the platform while simultaneously being airing in Korean on TVN, SBS, and other networks. Squid Game, however, deviates from the K-drama pattern since Netflix created and produced the Korean drama, and it was only available to Netflix subscribers. Moreover, Squid Game was never broadcast on South Korean cable television because Netflix is an American firm. As a result, Squid Game meets all the criteria for an Emmy nomination. Thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. If you liked watching our content, please leave a like, share, and subscribe to our channel.